didn't mean to cut you off there, Chris. What's going on, everybody? How you doing? It's been a little while. Welcome to another edition of Giants Collective. It's a new year, and it's a new feeling amongst the Giants training camp. Why, that's new. Our crew is exactly the same. We got Adriana down there. We got Anthony over there. We got Entertain over there. What's going on? How was your month off? Did you enjoy your month off of not worrying about the New York Giants?
I bumped into Anthony twice in the same night, so that was cool. And we're gonna be hanging out. We're gonna be watching a Giants game together early on in the year, so I'm looking forward to that too. But so that was cool. I ran into Anthony twice in the same night. He's not from New York, so that was crazy. But it's nice.
Small world.
Yeah, it's been nice to get the Giants off my mind for a little bit when there's nothing to talk about. But now there's stuff to talk about, so I'm excited to be back with you guys.
There's a lot to talk about. So. Obviously, we saw some things in training camp, but we got to start with the obvious because why not? And that's Jackson Dart. I mean, could you get off to a more inauspicious beginning than Jackson Dart did? If you guys in the chat don't know, his first pass went for 6 the wrong way. He threw an interception. And it was returned for a pick 6 in the Twitter spheres. Hair's on fire. He sucks. It's Daniel Jones again. And Joe Shane should be fired. And oh my God. Adriana, calm these people down. Let them know it's one pass. My God.
He was there. I'm curious.
Yeah, you were there, so you saw it.
At the place, yeah.
Yeah, you saw it firsthand. Let them know what's really going on here.
I was laughing to myself because I was like, oh, Jackson Dart is in with the 2s. Let's go. I have like my phone out. I started recording and I'm like, uh-oh. I saw Jones come out and take it all the way back to the house. And at first I was like, is that Tyler Nubin? And I'm like, yes, Nubin's going to get some touchdowns this year. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Nubin switched his numbers. Now they're all throwing me off with the number changes. So I had to look up who it was. It's Nick Jones, someone that I've never heard of. Must have been a recent signing. And I was like, oh shit. Okay, here we go. But then he redeemed himself. He threw a touchdown. This is going to make everyone feel better and worse. Is all the quarterbacks were not great today. Like Russell Wilson threw some touchdowns to Malik Nabers and Chris Manhertz. He also overthrew some passes and had some throws that were not super accurate and looked like the pass rushers were getting in his face. But it's day one. There were no tackling. There's no pads on. Malik Nabers has not played for the last few months. Like some of the guys that were out there, Darius Alexander, Cam Scattaboo, John Runyon, like these guys all were injured and missed the entire spring. So let's remember that it was day one of camp and it's going to be fine. Like Dable said, I listened to him and Joe Shane today, and Dable's big thing in regards to the young guys is like, don't make the same mistake over and over again, or I can't trust you to put you back on the field. So if Jackson Dart throws another pick 6 tomorrow and another one on Friday, and this is like a theme throughout camp, then everyone can hit the panic button. I'll do it with you. But until then, let's take a chill pill. Also, he's not the starter.
Right.
He's not even the backup. He's not even the backup right now.
Right. So I'm really not that worried about it. I said that I expect him to do things like that. He's a rookie. He's learning. And this is what's going to happen. It is what it is.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, I should have done this at the beginning. Do us a favor, guys. We reached 5,000 subscribers, which is awesome. So hit that thumbs up, subscribe, share the channel out. You can also catch us on, I should have looked this up because this is my fault. You can check us out on on Spotify, Amazon, and Apple. Check us out. Links are in the description below. You can also check out Giants Collective on TikTok and Instagram as well. All those links are in the description below. So check us out there. Like I said, leave us a like, a comment. You can also become a member of the channel if you'd like to do that. You get the monthly member messages, your name in the outro. And of course, you get those cool emojis that are next to us. Also, there's a new phase there. I don't know if you guys have seen it. There's little crowns next to your name, so you can be the #1 fan of the show. I don't know exactly how you become the #1 fan of the show, but there are crowns next to your name. They rank you by how you interact with the chat, I guess, is what it is. So check all that stuff out. We always appreciate it. We're going to be here from now probably until May. So
get used to it. We win the Super Bowl at the very least.
That'd be amazing. Anthony, what was your takeaway? We're just going to start with Jackson Dart. What was your takeaway from Mr. Dart today?
I think the takeaway that you have to have, it's just his first practice, right? It's his first training camp practice in his NFL career. So I'm not going to have any major takeaways from it. I think we all knew that Jackson Dart was a little bit of a project. None of us expected him to step in and be a ready-made product. That's why they signed Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. That's why we all talked about him sitting, growing, and developing, hopefully for the entire rookie season of his career. So him struggling in his first practice where the windows are tighter and everybody's moving faster in the NFL, it's not a surprise to me. And I think it's all part of the process. And I think it's a good part of the process. You're only going to learn from failure. If he steps out there and he just starts throwing dimes every single rep that he takes, and he's throwing a touchdown pass every other attempt, he's not really going to be learning a whole lot. I think there's more to learn from the failures and the mistakes. He described that pick six and said that he did see the safety. I can't remember his name. He did see the safety there, but he thought that he could fit it in that window, and that was a lesson learned, that he couldn't fit it in that window. And that's just the transition of going from college to the NFL. So it's all a learning process. It's all expected, and I don't think that there's any reason to be, having any severe reaction to a pick six in his first ever practice in the NFL.
Come on, Chris. What was your takeaway from Jackson Dart?
It's training camp. He's a third string quarterback right now. He's a rookie. He was a late first round pick for a reason. He's not a guy that Abdul Carter's a guy I expect to have an immediate impact, right? He was the second overall pick or whatever, third overall pick, I think, right? I don't even remember off the top of my head, but a guy that I thought was the best overall player in this year's class. I expect him to have a Mike, maybe not quite, but a Micah Parsons-like impact year one. A guy like Jackson Dart, quarterback, we signed, like Anthony just said, we signed Russell Wilson for a reason. You don't expect him to start the year. You probably don't expect him to start until at the earliest, midway through the season, and that's if the team's not doing well. If not, probably not towards maybe the last quarter of the season. He's going to make mistakes. We all remember Eli Manning. Not that I'm comparing him to Eli Manning. I don't want to do that. I don't want to put the pressure on the kid. But we all remember Eli Manning's rookie year. He was a disaster his first year. And he was a much better quarterback prospect coming out than Jackson Dart was. So it's a learning curve. And, I think you have to have patience as a fan. I realize that we've been through a disaster with Daniel Jones over the last 5 or 6 years. But this is a new quarterback. He's a rookie. He's going to sit and he's going to learn. And you hope that he hits his stride going into his second year. I hope we don't see him on the field this year, at least until late in the year, because that means the team's fairly competitive. And I think that's the plan going in. So anybody that's flipping out over a training camp interception, his first practice, is out of their mind. He's never played in the system before. He's never played with these players. As Dart said and Anthony referenced, he's still getting used to the speed of the pro game, right? At the collegiate level, there might be one pro on the opposing defense. In the NFL, you're going up against 11 pros. So it's a different speed. It's a different game, different defensive scheme, right? You're going up against a more advanced defensive coordinator as well that probably, in most scenarios when you're playing at the collegiate level. So he's going to learn. He's going to grow. Anybody that's flipping out over a training camp interception is out of their mind. He could start, 8 games this year, bad dog, throw 20 picks. I'm not going to give up on the kid after half a season. He's a rookie. You hope he learns and he grows from it. So we're going to go through this. There's growing pains in the NFL, especially at that position.
The way I look at it is this: the whole point of training camp is that's what it's for. You make your mistakes there. You're going to make mistakes. You need to learn. This is why they practice. This is the whole point of this. You get acclimated to the NFL speed, because we've discussed in this panel, and everybody that knows football knows, the speed from college and the defense complexity of the college game is nothing compared to the NFL game. It's just not. It's not close. That is a major adjustment. I don't think there's a tougher adjustment for a player. The quarterback is the toughest adjustment. There's no question, because the guys are incredibly fast. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, and the defenses are much more complex. So it does there is an adjustment period for a lot of quarterbacks. And, we've seen a lot of guys in the top 5 fail. They haven't been anything. And sometimes it takes guys longer than others. But yeah, I'm not going to get blown out. I'm not going to blow this out of proportion because he was 1 for 5 with an interception and 11 on 11 today. I find some of it amusing. I think the same people that, are all over him about throwing the interception and say, hey, look like crap. If he would have went 5 for 5 with 3 touchdowns, these same people would have been like, oh, it's just practice.
They're the same people that saw the clip when he threw a ball up to the guy in the jet ski that were calling him Joe Montana. So
yes,
to me, it's like, I'll wait till the regular season. I wait to see till this guy gets some real experience in the NFL before I start to judge whether or not he could be the long-term solution for the Giants. Yeah. Right now, this means nothing to me.
It's practice. And like I said, like Adriana said, he's not going to be the starter. So let's, like Bob Wells has said in the chat, let's step away from the ledge. It's okay.
He also threw a touchdown too. Like he redeemed himself. He got back out there, threw a touchdown to Theo Johnson, and Dable told him to be aggressive. He's like, now is the time to make mistakes. If you see the window, if you think you can make it, try it. And if you find out that you can't make it and you learn the hard way, then don't do it again.
Exactly. You have to learn from mistakes. Practice makes better. It doesn't make perfect, but it does make better. And again, that's what those guys are out there for. You learn the timing, you learn the playbook, you build rapport with your teammates. It's all figuring stuff out. That's that's also what preseason games are for as well. Now, when you get to the regular season, it's time to, strap on the pads and get ready to go and play much better. But you don't want to make those mistakes in the game. And again, we don't need to worry about Jackson Dart for a while. Right? Russell Wilson's the guy we really need to be paying attention to. And again, no matter how good or bad Russ's camp is, I think we know what Russell Wilson is. So I'm not going to, go one way or the other when it comes to Russell Wilson. I'm confident he'll be better than what we've had here the last 5 years. And, this is just building rapport with your teammates, learning the playbook and making your mistakes and learning from them. It's why we do training camp, Anthony, anybody that stood out to you today that you're like surprised at, or that you really like the way they performed today? Anybody really stand out? Or
Well, I'm not surprised by Malik Nabers scoring 3 touchdowns, but it's obviously exciting to see. And obviously it was Russell Wilson connecting with him on those touchdown passes. I'll say, I think one interesting development that I saw was at the cornerback position. It was Deonte Banks not in the starting lineup to open up training camp. It was Cordell Flott. And I saw a few clips of Banks. I saw one where he had a pass break up against Malik Nabers, and I saw one where he let Malik Nabers score a touchdown on him. So it seems like a little bit of an up and down day. But I do think it's really interesting, and I'm actually pretty happy that the Giants aren't giving anything to Deonte Banks. I'm a huge Deonte Banks fan. I think he has incredible upside, but obviously last season he struggled immensely, and then his effort and confidence were also called into question. Meanwhile, Cordell Flott played easily the best football of his career so far, so he deserves the chance. John Schmelk of Giants.com said that no cornerback made more plays on the ball during the spring practices than Cordell Flott, so he's earned the opportunity. And I'm very curious to see how that shakes out, to see who ends up being the CB2 when we open up in the regular season. I'm hoping that it's Deonte Banks and that this kind of lights a fire under him and he can compete and become a better player. But if it ends up being Cordell Flott, then that'll be awesome, because I think this is a player who's been developing over the last several years and just waiting for his opportunity, and now he has it.
Yeah. Chris, was there anybody that stood out to you? I mean, we can talk about Malik Nabers because – to Anthony's point, and Adriana mentioned it earlier, Malik Nabers didn't do anything this entire offseason because of the toe injury and this injury that he's had since college. And we were saying, well, let's not worry about it if he doesn't start training camp. Let's worry about it. Well, not only did he start today and be out there, he looked amazing. I mean, he was incredible. So,
I mean, I said it a few weeks ago. I think he's the best receiver in the league. Like, I think he's as talented as any receiver in the league. That's how good I think Malik Nabers is. I did see he said to some reporter that he thinks at some point he may have to have surgery on the toe. I think he said that today. But obviously, you're hoping that's something that they can take care of if they have to next offseason. But Malik Nabers, yeah, he's legit. Maybe this is a bold statement. I think he's the best wide receiver Russell Wilson's ever thrown to in his entire career. That's how good I think Malik Nabers is. So, and I think he's a big reason why Russell Wilson wanted to come here in the first place. I know that he wanted to be a Giant and he likes the New York spotlight, and I'm sure his wife doesn't mind that either. But I think Malik Nabers is a big attraction for Russell Wilson and hopefully for Jackson Dart as he starts to grow as the quarterback. But yeah, I mean, he's the best player on this roster, I think, from a talent standpoint. Either him or Dexter Lawrence. Those are the two most talented players on this roster.
Yeah, well, I think Malik Nabers, you're going to say that this is definitely the best quarterback he's had throwing the football. Because we looked at that quarterback from last year. It wasn't any good. John, anybody that really stood out to you today, or was just Malik Nabers stealing the show?
Nabers is one of those guys that as soon as you see him out there, it's just, I know we don't forget how good he is, but to see him again in person and how electric and excited and hype and everything he is, like, he's just such a freak. And I'm so happy that he's a Giant. Like, I really wanted Romo Dunze because I was a little bit worried about Nabers. And I'm like, thank God I don't call the shots around here, because Nabers was definitely the right move. So he was super exciting. Getting to see Abdul Carter in person and just see how excited he was for his first training camp. He did a backflip, like he was hyping up the fans and stuff. That was really fun. Something that I thought was interesting was Jalen Hyatt was being used on kick returns, which is something that we haven't seen yet. So I thought that was really interesting, and I'm curious to see how that develops, if it's something that we continue to see, because I know we're all unsure about what he's really going to look like with the offense. So I wonder if they will give him an opportunity to be on special teams too. And I saw like guys like Bellinger and Fedoni. There were a lot of guys on special teams today that I haven't really seen out there in the past that I thought was interesting. So I don't know. I don't know what the special teams coach is doing. I kind of like it, like throw it out there, everything out there and see what sticks. But I feel like that's a really good opportunity for Jalen Hyatt to showcase his best skill, which is his speed. So, if it's between him and Smith Marset back there, it's fine with me. As long as he can hold on to the ball, I'm good with that.
Well, something Eric Gray couldn't do, I can tell you that. And don't feel bad, Adrian. I also preferred Romo Dunze, so I'm glad I don't call the shots either. I just same reason. I just wasn't sure about Malik Nabers, but I mean, Malik Nabers just is unbelievable. To think of the stats he put up. Plus, I think he missed a game last. He had a concussion. So a couple games, right? And again, look at the guys throwing the football: Jones and Drew Lock and Tim Boyle, and probably missing somebody. And I think the vendor that sold beer in the third quarter threw him a pass, and it was just insane how good he was with whatever, whoever was throwing him the football. He is electric. He's got incredible hands. This skill set is insane, and I'm excited to see what he can do.
I also think he's great with the media too, like a lot better than a lot of people were anticipating coming out. Like I think he handles the media really well. He handles it like a seasoned pro. I watched his interview today, and he says all the right things, but at the same time, he's himself. He doesn't come across as a robot. But yeah, I think that's actually been the only thing that's been surprising to me. I knew Malik Nabers was incredible coming out of LSU in terms of on the field. But even the way that he's handled the media since he's been in the NFL, I think he's been top notch.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable. Really looking forward to it. I shouldn't be excited about it. I know these guys do it to me all the time, but I just think about what the prospects of what Malik Nabers can do this year, and in turn, because he's going to command so much attention, what it can do for the other receivers on this team. Just looking at a guy like Theo Johnson, just thinking what Theo Johnson could be. Obviously, there's a lot of camp battles we're going to look at. The Russell Wilson thing is not a camp battle. There may be a battle for backup between Jameis Winston and Jackson Dart. I don't know that there's a battle for the number one running back spot, perhaps. But Cam Scatterbo also had a pretty good day today. He caught a couple of touchdown passes, and I love freaking Cam Scatterbo. I think we're all in agreement on that. But I do think that there's a very good possibility he could go into the year as running back too. I think he could definitely beat out Devin Singletary. But Chris, do you think there's a possibility he could actually go in as the number one running back? You think that's definitely going to be Tyrone Tracy?
Yeah, I think that's Tyrone Tracy. I think it could become more of an even distribution as the year progresses, perhaps. But Tyrone Tracy was damn good last year for the Giants. The only thing I worry about with him is the fumbling, and hopefully he gets a lot better at that his sophomore year with the Giants. But I think Tracy's the clear one. I'm not saying he's going to be a one in the sense that Saquon Barkley was, where he probably got like 85 to 90% of the touches the year that we went to the playoffs at the running back spot. But I think he's going to be the guy that gets the most carries in the backfield at least halfway through the year. But I do think Scatterbo will probably get an increased role as the year progresses. And yeah, he's a fan favorite. The guy I got my eye on, and I don't think he's going to start the year. And I know a lot of Giants fans certainly have their eyes on him, I'm sure. I love the 300-pound man. I say it all the time. I think the offensive line is, and no surprise here, it's football 101, but I think it is the biggest factor of whether or not the New York Giants could potentially surprise this year if Andrew Thomas could stay healthy, if that offensive line another year together could at least be satisfactory. The defensive line, I think we all know, is top-notch. It's got to be one of the better defensive lines in the league if they stay on the field. Of course, I'm projecting with Abdul Carter, but I think he's an elite talent. But the guy I got my eye on in training camp, I'm curious to see how he battles. I don't think he'll be a starter day one, is Evan Neal. I'm very intrigued by how he does at the guard spot, and maybe the Giants could find something out of the 7th overall pick that they haven't been able to find since he's been in the league. So I think that's one of the, probably, if at least for me, the most interesting storyline in training camp is Evan Neal at the guard spot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Adriana, anybody you have your eye on, or what do you think? What battles do you think could be surprisingly won by one of these rosters? Do you think Cam Scatterboo could be the number one running back going into the year? Do you think Evan Neal could be the guard going into? Is there somebody you think could surprise and become a starter that you wouldn't think going into training camp?
I think if there's anyone, it's probably Evan Neal beating out GVR. I think that's the one that's probably the most likely, because I don't think that, from the running back situation or even from the wide receivers, like Jalen Hyatt is not taking snaps over Darius Slayton, or, Zach Pascal is not coming in and getting snaps in the slot over Wandale. So I think those are probably the most likely to stay what they are. But Evan Neal was getting reps with the twos at left guard and right guard today. And I just think that if he has any opportunity to be a starter, he's got the chance to beat out GVR. GVR is not a stud right guard in the league. John Runyon, I think, is a better option at left guard, where I feel like right guard, there's a better battle and there is a possibility that Neal can beat him out. So I'm really curious to see how that goes, especially to see if he gets any reps with the ones and how he does there, knowing that he's got Eluemunor on the other side of him to really help him out from the tackle perspective. I would say the one other one is cornerback, but I just don't, as much as I like Cordell Flott, and I think that he's been consistent this spring, and he's one of those guys who seems to have a really good spring and then kind of falls off when he actually plays in games. I just don't see a scenario where he realistically beats out Tay Banks. I just think if push comes to shove, it's going to end up being Banks, and this is going to be fun to watch. And I think it's going to be competitive to watch those two rotate in that spot, but I just don't see it happening. I think it's more likely that Evan Neal, shockingly, could end up being the starting right guard for week one, which would be pretty shocking indeed.
Yeah. Well, at least he was a starter for week one. He would have earned it, and that'd be a good thing. Anthony, is anybody you think could surprise and take a spot on this roster or in the depth chart that going into it you wouldn't consider?
For me, it is Cordell Flott. I think that Cordell Flott is a player who's gotten better every year, minus that 2023 season where the Giants just put him into the slot inexplicably. He wasn't a slot cornerback in college. He was never comfortable in that role, and they really stunted his growth and development doing that. But they moved him back to the outside last season, and he started to progress once again. So I think he's a player that's just been waiting for the opportunity, like I said. And I like the way he plays. I know that he's a little bit thin, and he doesn't necessarily have the physical nature that you might want for an outside cornerback. And I think that was the logic that the Giants had when they moved him to the inside. But we have seen thin cornerbacks succeed in the past. In fact, I think the Giants had one with Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie years ago. He was always known to be a thinner cornerback, but very fast and very sticky in man coverage. And I'm not necessarily comparing their talents one-to-one, but their playing style is similar. And I like Flott. I think that he works hard, and I think that Deonte Banks just has a lot to prove. And I think with the Giants, what they did with Evan Neal the past couple of years, they handed him, for the first couple of seasons of his career, a starting job, and they shouldn't have done that. There should have been a competition. He shouldn't have just automatically started out training camp every single year as the starting right tackle. And so now I think they're learning from that mistake with Deonte Banks, saying, hey, you have the opportunity to maintain a starting job, but it's not being given to you this time. You have to battle for it. And I do think that Cordell Flott, again, has played well in the spring, definitely was the better of the two cornerbacks last year between him and Banks. And if he can build on that in the summer, I absolutely could see a world where he opens up week one as the CB2 opposite Paulson Adebo.
Yeah, listen, Cordell, I don't know. Deonte Banks, to me, he's got so much talent, but his problem, as we've discussed a number of times, is just locating the football. I feel like he has good coverage skills, but he kind of gets lost when the football's in the air. And in college, you can get away with that because a lot of these guys aren't going to be able to make the adjustments at high point the football, and their catch radius isn't the same. These guys are insane with the body balance, the catch radius, the hands, the high point, the locating the football. I mean, it's unbelievable how talented these wide receivers are. So as a cornerback, it's become increasingly tough, especially with the rules. You can't really bang into these guys. You can't touch them. You can't breathe on them. It's really tough for them. But if you're able to locate the football and make a play in the football, you're just going to be a much better corner. Banks is there. He just has to learn to turn his head and find that football. And if he does that, I think he could be what the Giants thought he would be when we took him 25th. But that is a very interesting battle, to say the least. So that's something that could definitely play out. And again, the Evan Neal situation, I would love him to catch on and be a really good guard because, Greg Van Roten is 34, 35 years old. So, he's long in the tooth when it comes to NFL players, and Evan Neal's just 26. They picked him 7th overall. He's got some kind of talent, and you hope that he can win that starting job. I'd rather him win the starting job and be a very effective guard because it would go a long way for our offensive line. And we know that is probably the weakest spot and the biggest question mark going into this year is that line, because it's been like that forever. And outside of adding a couple of depth pieces and drafting Bo in the 5th round, we didn't do anything. We didn't add any superstars of this line. So still a big question mark. And of course, it leads us into the next thing, which is Andrew Thomas. And we know that without Andrew Thomas, team's terrible. I think I read a stat that with him the last couple of years or 3 years, whatever it was, they're 6-10 and they're 3-15 without him. So it just tells you how awful that line is without him. He starts on the PUP list. And Adriana, this is actually the video I saw from you when you were in your car. How serious do you think that is? Do you think he'll play in training camp, or do you think they're going to be really cautious with him and not put him out there and wait for week 1 or one of these preseason games?
Yeah, when they said they were going to move him to the active PUP list and that he should be good to go for week 1, I figure they're going to keep him out of training camp. And then my hope, and I don't know if people are going to love this or hate this, is that we see all of the Giants starters, maybe outside of Dexter Lawrence, during preseason for at least a quarter. And Andrew Thomas doesn't have to play the whole quarter, but I think for the success of this team, week 1, which is a must-win game, unfortunately, against a division rival, Andrew Thomas needs some reps and needs some practice with the rest of the starting offensive line. So I'm hoping that at this point, it's only 2 weeks of training camp, that they're going to let him sit a little bit, rest, do whatever he needs to do, and then play him a little bit in preseason. And then they can call it a day and he can rest or do minimal practice or whatever they want to do with him until week 1. But I do think it's a good thing that it sounds like he's going to be ready for week 1, because when I saw him on the PUP list, I was like, oh my God, here we go. We're going to have up to 6 weeks without Andrew Thomas. We're done for. So I was a little relieved that it sounds like, it should be at least week 1, maybe week 2. So all eyes are on James Hudson.
Anthony, how concerned are you about Andrew Thomas starting on the PUP list?
They said that he should be ready for week 1. I am concerned that he might miss a lot of time during the summer, and that could potentially, cause him to slip up. But honestly, he's Andrew Thomas. I think he's a tremendous player. And if they even decided to bubble wrap him for the summer, I wouldn't necessarily be mad. He is so important to this team that I just think if you can get him healthy during the regular season, it can have such a transforming effect on this offense. Whenever he's off the field, the offense absolutely implodes. So whatever they got to do to keep him healthy. If they bubble wrap him and he doesn't practice this summer, then so be it. Obviously, ideally, I would like to see him practice. I'd like to see him get into game shape and get up to speed. But I just want Andrew Thomas on the field, man. So whatever they got to do, make sure to get him out there by week 1.
Chris, you love the 300-pound men. How concerned are you about?
Especially that 300-pound man.
Yeah, that one especially. We all love him. How concerned are you that he starts in the PUP list?
Not very concerned. I actually heard him on a radio interview when I was driving about a week ago, where he said that he didn't come out and say it concretely that he fully expects to play week 1, but he kind of said it without saying it. I think he's trying to, follow doctor's orders. I think he'll be ready to go week 1. My only worry with him is, can he stay healthy throughout the course of the year? So I want to make sure they do everything they possibly can to ensure that he can remain on the field weeks 1 to 17, because obviously he hasn't been able to do that in recent years, and he's by far, I think, the most important player on the offense. So you mentioned the record. The Giants gave up the 2nd most sacks in the history of the NFL the year he went down after Daniel Jones signed that contract. I think it was 85, was something ridiculous.
85, yeah. 85.
After he got hurt after week 1 or week 2. So the offense goes from being a mediocre to bad offense when he's on the field, at least in recent history, to being one of the all-time worst offenses when he's off it. So I think we all know as Giants fans how important he is to this offensive line. If he goes down, all this, it's like a house of cards. All of a sudden, you got to shift Eluemunor to the left side or figure out what, Zudu's got to put, it's been a disaster the last couple of years when he's gone down. So that's by far, from an offensive standpoint, I think the most important part of the Giants this year. If he could remain on the field and stay healthy, I'm not saying the Giants are going to have a good offensive line, but I think it could be good enough where we can at least sustain some drives and keep the defense fresh to help us close out games, because we all know that's the strength of this football team on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, last year I felt like at the beginning of the year they were not great, but they were average. And I was excited to say, hey, look at the additions that Joe Shane made have actually worked out, bringing in Eluemunor, bringing in Runyon and Van Roten. And it's like, hey, look at this team. It's serviceable. It wasn't great, but yes, like you just said, it's a house of cards. I compare it to Jenga. You pull that block out from underneath, the whole tower collapses, and that's exactly what happens to the New York Giants. You pull Andrew Thomas from that line, and it just collapses like the Jenga tower, and then you got a complete mess, and you got to pick it up, and there's shifting guys all over the place, and guys are out of position. And I mean, we've talked about this ad nauseum. The line is so important here. And the biggest factor is not only do these guys don't have the greatest talent as a unit, but because they don't play together all the time, it's almost impossible to build any kind of chemistry, to learn the timing, to learn, the pros and cons of the guy playing next to you, even though the guy's name next to you. I mean, who the hell knows? You've got so many guys coming in and out of here. It's like a rotating door of linemen. If they could just stay relatively healthy, I mean, I don't think these guys are going to play all 17 games together. That'd be great. But if they could play a majority of the games together, I think you'd see a massive improvement going forward, especially as they get used to each other and used to Russell Wilson and get in some kind of a groove. Again, they're not going to be a top 10 offensive line, but with how good our defense is, with a quarterback that can play at the NFL level, and we know that with a guy like Malik Nabers, with a lot of potential with Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scatterbo, if your line holds up with how great our defense is, we should be in a lot of these football games. We should be competitive and have a chance at the end all the time. But if that line's bad and that offense looks the way it did last year, we're not going to have any chance. And I don't care who our quarterback is at that point. So let's just hope that Andrew Thomas is 100% healthy starting week one. I'm with Anthony. If they bubble wrapped him and didn't play him, I'd be okay with that as long as he's 100%, because we know what Andrew Thomas is. We know what he means. And we need him. Big time.
No doubt about it.
Fuego Dharma, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, me and the fam going to be opening game. Let's get a dub. They are Commies fans.
Oh, no.
Glad to see the gang back. Thank you. What do you guys think about game one? Any chance to win that one?
Yeah.
We're winning it. I'm saying it right now. Winning that game.
I'm not picking us to win, but I definitely think there's a chance, 100%. The Commanders are the better team. They went to the NFC Championship game last year for a reason. They're going to be favored. I'll be picking them week one. Sorry, I'm a Giants fan, but I got to be honest, and I got to go with them. But do I think they're unbeatable? Absolutely not. I think they're a team that a lot of people feel going into the year outkicked the coverage last year, overachieved a bit. I wouldn't be stunned if Washington comes a little bit back to the pack this year. So, yeah, I think it's a winnable game. I'm not picking us, but yeah, I think we have a chance.
They'll kick the coverage and they beat us because we didn't have a kicker. That's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we beat the living shit out of Jaden Daniels last year. And this was without Abdul Carter. So Jaden Daniels might have an ice bath waiting from the end of the game. John and Anthony, any chance we win week one?
I think we definitely can. My whole thing is like, yes, I know the schedule sucks, but we say any given Sunday for a reason, right? No one thought in 2022 we were going to go 9-7. No one thought when Andrew Thomas went down that our entire offense was going to be non-functional. So I think that there's a lot of moving parts here, but I just think that if they get off to a fast start, there's no reason why they can't beat them. They kept them very close last year. We've always been good against Washington. And last year was a shit year. We won 3 games and we still kept the games against Washington relatively close. So I think we made better moves this offseason than they did. Granted, they won 12 games. They didn't have a ton of holes, but they're having issues with Terry McLaurin. They didn't make a ton of amazing moves on defense, and their defense needs some upgrades there. So, I think that what we've done on defense, I think this is how week one is going to go. Our defense is going to do enough to keep the game very close. The question is going to be, can our offense score enough points to win? It might come down to a Graham Gano field goal, and I hope that he can make it. He's healthy, shouldn't have any issues there, but I really think that it's possible. Plus, I also think the fact that they're not playing at home, I'm sure it's not that big of a deal to the players. I don't know, maybe it is, but the last 2 years, our home games have been atrocious, and we've gotten blown out at home week one. So I kind of think week one, on the road in Washington. There's going to be a lot of Giants fans there. Maybe it'll be better from like a mind perspective that they're like, we can win away.
And no pressure on us. All the pressure's on Washington. This is the team that went to the NFC Championship game last year with Jane Daniels. They all think they're going to the Super Bowl this year. They have an enormous amount of pressure on them. We don't. We're supposed to lose this game. They're supposed to run us over now. And like you said, we always play Washington tough. By the way, Anthony, I know Chris mentioned this like right before I hit the live button. That is a really cool shirt. I like that. I know you're excited about Russell Wilson, and I think we all are pretty excited about having Russ. Russ is he's just freaking awesome. I don't know what to say. Good guy, going to the Hall of Fame. He's going to be good for the Giants. I hope he plays really well, but I mean, just as a leader in general, I think he's going to be awesome. Do you think we have a chance to win on week 1? You think we got a good chance? I should say. We always have a chance. What do you think our chances are?
Well, we definitely have a chance. I don't know how good of a chance we have, but I think, all the points that were made, the Giants were competitive with Washington last year. The Giants are a much better football team this year, though, and I think that's the number one thing that tells me they're going to be more competitive in these games than people realize. It is a tough schedule. On paper, it's the hardest in the NFL, but the Giants are a much better team on paper than they were last year. They stack up against a lot of these teams a lot better, Washington included, and I think that all starts with Russell Wilson, who you just mentioned. The Giants have a legitimate quarterback who can read the field and throw on time and accurately, and I think that's going to change everything for this offense. I mean, if you think about what Malik Nabers did last year with those 4 quarterbacks who were all bad quarterbacks throwing him the football, and he still went for 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, and set the record for the most receptions by a rookie wide receiver in NFL history. Put that into perspective, and he missed 2 games. Now imagine with a legitimate quarterback and fully healthy with those extra 2 games, I think he could legitimately push for the Triple Crown this year, and that should keep the Giants in any game. So, yes, they've got a chance of beating Washington. I think they have a chance of beating anybody because they have one of the best playmakers in all of football in Malik Nabers.
I'm excited to see him. Our guy Tutto, grazie paesano, grazie. Love and respects to the New York Giants Italian podcast crew, Bad Dog, Tana, Big Tony, and Adriana, and all the diehard Giants fans across the ponds. Greeting from our entire club in Italy. Tutto, what a legend he is. And I saw his other comment, which I'm going to get to because I love Tutto. How do you not love Tutto? I just love him. He just cracks me up. Mark, salute, my friend. Thank you for being a member of Giants Collective for a month. We appreciate you. I think you have the same hat on that I do. Yours is much cleaner. This is my gym hat, if you can't tell. It's got a lot of wear and tear on it. But there's a lot of tears, too, I think. It's
appropriate.
Yeah, it's appropriate, without question. But thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Tutto again. Grazie. Bad Dog, please. I love him. Please send a message to big fat fuck Dumbo. We better not cross paths anytime, anywhere. He'll get so hard, make him kiss the floor in a flash, mate. Tutto, I love you. I hope that.
By the way, Tutto was the one that put this channel together for Italians. He was true. He was the orchestrator of this channel too.
That's right. There's a bunch of capos here, but we know who the godfather is of the whole organization. It's Tutto, man. We love Tutto. Is it? Cracks me. I just hope by the end of the year you are a believer in Brian Dable. That's all I can say. And I don't blame you. Listen, there's a lot of people on Twitter that are down on Coach Dable. They don't like him. I get it. For some reason, man, I don't know. I've exercised more patience with this guy than any other coach I have since Coughlin left. So I don't know. Maybe it's because he won a playoff game, but.
And he put some more weight on. So, maybe he's getting back to that 2022 Dable that took
exactly. As Tutto said, fat F Dumbo, like it's a better thing when he's fat. I'd rather him be a fat F than a skinny F. So to Tutto, you may be onto something. Maybe Dable will turn around with the weight. So
he's not skinny, he's not face husky right now. He's husky.
I want him to get a little fatter, to be honest with you. I want him to put on a couple.
Well, you like the 300-pound men. Maybe he needs to get to 300 pounds.
There you go.
CeCe Sabathia was always a better pitcher when he was heavy. So maybe Dable does need to go back to eating chicken wings and saying he can outrun somebody. Or that, what was it on the Hard Knocks where he said he could run a 40 in like 5 seconds? Or like, no way.
Oh my God, I'd love to see it.
They should do it. They should totally do that. They should make the coaches run a 40. I would love to see that. I think that would be funny. Bob, thank you so much. Our guy Bob Wells, appreciate you. Okay, is it just me, or the Eagles Super Bowl rings just downright ugly with the wings. Come on.
I haven't even seen them, to be honest with you. I haven't looked at them. I don't intend to look at them. So I don't know.
Everything about the Eagles is ugly. Everything.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
I wasn't going to do it. I probably do it tomorrow. I knew it's a couple days old, but I like how Eagle fans got all bent out of shape about what Cam Newton said about Jalen Hurts. I'm like, everybody says that because it's true. The only people that have a problem with that are Eagle fans. Sorry, Eagle fans. Jalen Hurts is a passenger. Sorry, don't know what to tell you. Are the Giants going to the Super Bowl if Jalen Hurts is our quarterback? Are the Colts? Or the Browns? Probably not. So how much of a difference does he really make? Yeah, so whatever. But yeah, Bob, it's ugly. They're ugly. F Philly, can't stand them. And I hope they lose to Dallas because I think it'll be funny. And I hate both of those teams with a passion. Either one of you guys have an opinion on the Eagles ring?
It's as ugly as they are.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Nando, thank you. He says, I'm 100% positive we're going to make the playoffs. Go Giants.
I'm not.
I like it.
I like your optimism, Nando. And we're going to get a sponsor on the channel soon that you're probably a part of right now with that take. So we appreciate you for being here, Nando.
Yes. Sponsor's coming.
Maybe having a couple of gummies with that take. But, Nando, we appreciate it.
420 somewhere. But, it is what it is. Listen, Nando, 'tis the season for hot takes. Lord knows.
Yes.
I've had mine. I threw one on Twitter today, and I've been saying this for months now. We're finishing ahead of Dallas in this division. I don't know where we're going to be. We might be third, but we are finishing ahead of Dallas. We are beating Dallas this year. We are finishing ahead of Dallas. And, of course, you have a guy that says, the Giants haven't beat Dak since Obama was president. So I had to tell him, what is your point, man? You ain't won a Super Bowl since Clinton was president. So who cares?
The Giants haven't beaten a lot of teams since Obama was president, I'm sure. I mean, we've been a pretty bad football team.
That's true.
Also, Dak, I saw a video of Dak Prescott also throwing an interception, and he's their starting quarterback. So
playoff Dak, Adriana. Playoff Dak was right there with that pick. My favorite thing about Dallas is I say it all the time. Listen, man, I was 20 years old the last time they won a damn Super Bowl. Well, I'm 50 now. I mean, I wasn't even legally old enough to drink. Well, I'll be 50 on Sunday. Isn't it screwed up that I'm that freaking old? But I think about it, man. I wasn't even legally old enough to drink. And now, I'm a couple of years away from retirement. That's how long it's been, Dallas. Get your shit together. Huh?
Happy birthday. Almost happy birthday.
Sunday. Yeah, Sunday.
Yeah.
I keep thinking Saturday's the 27th. Sunday. Jason, thank you so much. He says, we just need a functional, healthy offensive line.
I want better than that, but for this year, that's what I want. I mean, ultimately, I would like us to get back to the 2008 format, but we're, baby steps.
If we could ever get this line together, this could be a dangerous team. One more wide receiver, and just, I guarantee when we're doing this show next year, this time, in April, when we do that, I guarantee you, it's going to be lineman. There's no way in hell they're not going to.
We're drafting right tackle next year in the first round. I really believe. I mean, again, without me knowing who's coming out, but that to me looks like our biggest need going into next year, right?
And I think they'll sign some. I don't think there's any question. They will not do to Jackson Dart what they did to Daniel Jones.
They better not.
It's not going to happen. They will do everything they can to protect that kid's their future. So they're going to do everything that they can to protect him. So
I think Mara told them, you guys are good through 2026. We all agreed that Jackson Dart's the guy. I'll give you time, not that much time, but I'll give you enough time to figure it out with him. I really think that they had that conversation and they're not going to rush Dart into it because of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, how good was Shane with that pick? Because I still think it was funny. It was like, hey, if you guys have confidence in him, it didn't seem like he had the most confidence in him.
I mean, ultimately, it was the right pick for Shane in terms of keeping his job, because I think it's exactly what Adriana said, and I think that's got to be the plan for Shane and Dable if they plan to keep their jobs. You don't want this kid to go in there too quick because you don't want him to play poorly for 9 or 10 games. Give him 3 or 4 games. Let them get a taste so you can build off of something going into next year. And I think that's the plan. And I'd be outside of a Russell Wilson injury and Jameis Winston eating too many hot wings or whatever, or crab legs rather. I think I fully expect Dart not to play until at least maybe the last 4 or 5 weeks, because I think that's giving them the best chance to keep their jobs.
In New York, is it going to be crab legs or pizza? I mean, we're not really known for our crab legs. unless he travels to Maine.
Right? Isn't that what he's known for? Winston, he loves the crab. Didn't he steal crab legs when he was at Florida State? Or
well, that's down south. He was a Florida man. We all know
true.
Florida man's weird. He's a New York guy now, so maybe the pizza parlors are going to be
Yeah.
good for him. But I've said that too. A lot of people think that Jackson Dart's going to be starting like really soon, and I'm telling you, no. Russell Wilson's going to start a lot longer than a lot of people think for that reason, Chris. They don't want to hurry him, because if they hurry him in there and he's there for more than half a year and he stinks, they're done. It's over.
That's why Shermer
If the Giants are bad, there's a new GM and there's a new quarterback next year.
Yeah, if they would have held off with Jones till the last 3 or 4 weeks, Shermer probably keeps his job the next year. They got a full year of Daniel Jones. They said, okay, we can move on. So I'd be stunned outside of. I mean, if they start 0-5, 0-6, the pressure is probably going to just be too much, and they may at that point. But if the team's even like remotely competitive, I don't think they're looking to rush Jackson Dart on the field.
Even if they're 0-6, I mean, are they going to throw him out there and go, well, this team is total ass, and he really doesn't have a chance? Do you really want to throw him to the Wolves that early? Or do you
I wouldn't want to, unless he's completely ready. But do I think they would? Maybe, because they got to try to sell some hope at that point to try to keep their jobs if they're 0-6, 0-7.
Try to sell some tickets at that
Hopefully
point.
we don't get to that point. Hopefully we're 3-3, 4-2. But
Yeah.
I think we're 3-3 after 6.
That'd be nice.
That will be nice.
If
We're going to win one of these. What's that?
We go 2-0. We're in damn good shape.
We definitely could.
We don't lose the next 4.
I was going to say, I think we can go. I think we're going to go 1-1 in those first 2 games. I don't know which team we're going to beat, but I do think they're sneaking one of those. I do. I like that they start on the road. I think it might be good for them to just relax and not have all that.
They won't get booed on the third play, or at least not as loudly as they did last year when they were at home.
Those are facts. I don't think they would anyway. It's not Daniel Joe. I think that wasn't third play. I think that was 6 years of.
Oh, I agree.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
6 years of frustration. I think they went in saying, if we go after a bad start, we're just going all in on this guy. Jason, thank you so much. He says, if we are healthy, I'm picking us to beat the Commanders. They're severely overrated, in my opinion. I think you make a statement on week 1. They barely beat us.
Yep.
I hope you're right, Jason. I think it'll be a competitor.
Didn't they get absolutely destroyed by the Eagles in the NFC Championship? I think they had an easier schedule. They're a good football team, but still, it's not like they went up against the Eagles in the NFC Championship and lost by a field goal at the last minute. They got beat by a very good football team, which the Giants also got beat and destroyed by the Eagles and probably will again this year. I don't think the Commanders did enough to go into this year and be like, we can really battle it out against the Eagles. I just think, unfortunately for all of the Eagles team is light years better than every other team in the NFC East. I just think it sucks for all of us.
Probably in the NFC, if we're being honest. Now, unpredictable things happen every year, and teams disappoint and teams surprise. But going in, I think, on paper, at least, the Eagles are clearly the best team in the NFC.
Detroit's there, too.
But I agree. But Detroit also lost both coordinators. I think it's fair to say they may take a step back because of that. Yeah, but the Eagles did. But I was going to say
the Eagles did. They won the Super Bowl. So, I think that was Washington's biggest thing. They had a really good game against Detroit. I don't think there's any question about that. That was their best game. But listen, they didn't. I don't think they did do a lot. They got Deebo Samuel. I mean, we'll see what he does for them. But again, Washington last year, I'm not taking anything away from them. They had a great year, and I think Jaden Daniels is absolutely awesome. I think he's incredible.
I think he's the best quarterback, and I hate saying this as a Giants fan, and I was not the biggest Jaden Daniels fan coming out in the draft. He's incredible. I think going into the year, which is insane to say, being that he's only entering year 2, he is the best quarterback in the NFC conference. That's when you look around the NFC conference, who's better? Jared Goff? I think he's the best quarterback in the NFC conference.
Yeah, you have an argument for it. The only thing is, with a guy like Jaden Daniels, obviously teams now have tape on these guys. Washington's not going. I'm not saying you ever take a team lightly, but Washington's been bad for 30 years. You have a tendency to overlook them, like teams did to us in 2022. You make adjustments. You see what he does on film. You look at it. This is his strength. Let's take away his strength from him. And then it's up to him to make the adjustment. But Washington's got a much tougher schedule this year as well. And again, we play them. We always play them tough, regardless of how good or bad we are. We were right in both games of them last year. We didn't have a kicker. The first game we played them. And Malik Nabers, if he I'm not saying we would have won the game, but we have 1st and goal at that point with a chance to win if he catches the 4th down pass. And Daniel Jones actually threw it right in his breadbasket. He's got to make the catch. And the best thing I loved about Malik Nabers after that play was he totally owned it. I mean, he said that was his fault. I'm like, that was very mature of a guy in the second NFL game to say, I should have caught that. That's on me. We lost because of me. I'm like, I wouldn't go that far. We didn't lose because of you, but we didn't have a chance to win because he missed the catch. But at least he owned it. And I'm like, that's really mature for a young guy to say that and not say, the pass could have been here or this or this or this. He didn't make an excuse. And I'm just so excited about what Malik Nabers is going to be this year, man. I just am. I got to get a Leak jersey. Fuck it. Leak down there somewhere. I got to buy one. I got to buy one. Our guy, Irish Rover, the legendary Irish Rover, he says, what's up, Giants? Fantastic Four. Appreciate you. I think we can beat the Commanders with our defense if healthy. # Thomas. How many super chats now have said the same thing? That we can beat the Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of confidence.
I think we could. There's different levels of could. Like, I think I'm probably not as confident as Irish Rover is that we're going to beat them, but I definitely think we could. Speaking of the Fantastic Four, Anthony, it came out today, right? I think, right? I know you're a big movie guy. It's getting good.
I'm taking my little cousin to see it this weekend, so I'm excited for it. Looks cool.
I can't wait to do that. But yeah, I think we could. You asked Anthony the percentage that we could beat the Commanders. I'll give my percentage. I'll say 25%, which is there's a chance. Like, I probably would have said we had a 25% chance to beat the Titans entering 2022 on the road after they had gone to the AFC title game the year before. We beat them. So I think there's a decent chance we could beat them. I don't think it's impossible.
Mm-hmm. I'm saying at least 50%.
50%.
Sold on him. Listen, man. I know Washington's good last year. I'm not scared of Washington. Right, I can't sit here and say I have the same confidence going against Philadelphia. They scare me a little bit. I can't.
Yeah,
I hate them to death, but they're good. I mean, that's not good. They're great. That's a great.
I'll up to 30%. 30%.
By the time you play them week 1, Chris, you're going to be 75%.
Oh, by the time I'm on kickoff on opening week, I'm going to say 99%. But today, I'm at 30.
I'm with Bad Dog on 50%. One of the biggest problems that we had last year was that no one could tackle Jaden Daniels. And now we have Abdul Carter and we have Kayvon Thibodeaux, who finally decided that he's going to do some shit in the offseason to get better. And he started wrestling so he could improve his tackling skills. So I don't know. We got 2 guys now who I think are going to be better, plus Burns, to get after Jaden Daniels. And I think maybe we're going to be able to sack him at least once this year.
Yeah, we sacked him 7 times in the first game. We killed him the first game. I remember Drew Phillips hit him, and I thought he knocked him out of the game.
Oh shit!
Wrecked his ribs, and he had to sit out for a couple of plays. And he's got to learn.
That was the game where Shane Bowen blitzed nonstop, which he normally doesn't do, which made sense because it was a rookie quarterback, like his first or second, whatever it was. It was early in the year.
Second week.
I don't expect that Jaden Daniels this time around, right? He's more seasoned, so. We probably won't be able to blitz as often as we did, but Abdul Carter is a big difference maker. Is this a hot take? And we have obviously talented edge rushers. Brian Burns, very talented. Kayvon. I haven't even seen Abdul Carter play it down yet in the NFL. I already think he's our best edge rusher. That's how talented I think this guy is. I can't wait to see him play. Is that a hot take? That I think he's already better than Brian Burns?
I think it's a hot take. Brian Burns is pretty good. He had 12.5 sacks a few years ago.
Very good. Very good. Top 20 edge in the league, top 15 maybe.
I got to see it with Carter before I believe it because we do this a lot as Giants fans.
That's fair.
We believed it before we saw it with Nabers, and we were right on that one. But we've seen it go the other way many times in the past. So I'm pretty confident Abdul Carter. I think he's going to go for double-digit sacks this year. But there's totally a world where we get our hearts broken again as Giants fans. We're used to that. So.
It's true.
Yeah, this is the time to be happy. July, and then welcome crashing down as the leaves change colors and they pull them down. I'm
confident though, and maybe my heart will be broken. He is not going to let us down. I think he is. I'm as confident with him as I was with Malik Nabers. I think he's that. I think he's a slam dunk. I think he's that good.
Definitely excited to see what our defense does. Greg says, "F Dallas, Washington, and Philly disrespectfully." 100, bro. Definitely. Really quick before we get to Tuto again, I love Tuto. What did you guys make of the little back and forth between Kayvon Thibodeaux and Jermaine Eluemunor. I thought it was hilarious. And I like that. I like that shit talk between those two guys. I thought it was funny. I like Jermaine Eluemunor pretty much saying, I'm going to bury you in the ground. And he said, shut up, fat boy. And then Eluemunor said, I'll see you soon. I thought it was great. What did you guys make of that? If you saw
calling him fat boy, I was just rolling. I was like, this is amazing. And at camp today, I was like, eyes on Jermaine Eluemunor. I'm like, I can't wait to see these two go at it. Because they did during OTAs. So I'm like, I don't know if they're just kind of playing this up or if it is something kind of serious. So I like the fact that there's some sort of fire there. Like Jermaine Eluemunor has been very outspoken since he's been a Giant. He's here to win. He works really hard. He loves being here. He tweeted last night, like, it's so good to be back. So I love that. Like, he's super hyped about it. So it's just fun to see that side of them, to like joke around a little bit. But I'm also like, are they just going to punch the shit out of each other at practice? Like, I also wouldn't be surprised if that happens.
I don't mind that, as long as they don't get hurt. I don't mind a little extra chippiness in training camp.
Agreed.
It's definitely tough to tell the mood of a text. It's difficult to tell. I think it's all just shit talk. They're two competitive guys that are like, I'm going to get the best of you at camp. No, you're not. I'm going to whoop your ass. And, maybe it does turn into something, in the beginning of August after a couple of weeks in the hot sun and the pads, and you're miserable and you're cranky and you're hungry and you're tired. And maybe it does. There's always going to be a couple. It just happens. Yeah. Like you said, as long as nobody gets hurt, it's competition. You're not hoping for a fight every day, but if it happens, all right, those guys care a little bit. Our guy Tuto, what a legend. He says, bad dog, I blame Fed from turning the Giants from best rosters on paper, the worst records team in the NFL made as an active player. I know so. Tuto, I'm not arguing with you.
I'll argue. I love Tudo.
I just hope that he makes a believer out of you by the end of the year.
Maybe I'm misinterpreting what Tudo's saying there, but if Tudo's point is that the Giants had one of the best rosters on paper in the NFL, maybe he means one of the best rosters the Giants have had in a while on paper. I don't even know if I would agree with that, but since Dable's been here, I think the Giants have had nowhere near one of the best rosters in the NFL on paper. As a matter of fact, 2022, the year we made the playoffs, I think we had one of the worst rosters in the NFL on paper, which was why that was such a surprising year for the Giants to go to the playoffs.
Yeah. Jason says,
I love Tudo.
Thank you. Yeah, Tudo's the man. Yeah. Thank you, Jason. He says, let's not hype Jaden just yet. Show me before we crown him. Well,
I'm trying to jinx him.
Show us.
I'm trying to jinx him, Jason.
What's that?
I'm trying to jinx him, Jaden Daniels.
I do. Well, we haven't crowned him, but I don't think there's any question. You can't deny how successful he was his rookie year. Washington hadn't been that far in 34 years. Like Washington before last year only won 10 games 3 times in the last 33 years. If there was a franchise that was in worse shape than us, it was them. And, they had an uprising without question. And there's a lot of pressure on them to do that again. I don't think they will do that. I'm not saying they're going to be bad and they're going to completely fall off and they're going to win 5 games, but I don't think they're going to win 12 games. I don't think they're going to the NFC Championship game. I just don't think that's going to happen. Their schedule's tougher. And like I said, you got film on these guys. I don't know how many improvements they made. And we'll see how good Jaden Daniels really is. Sometimes that sophomore year is really difficult for the quarterback because they do have to make adjustments. Everybody's made adjustments to them. And again, when they ran into Philadelphia, Jaden Daniels was very cool a lot of the year. And I know Washington fans will argue this, but I watched that game and I didn't think he was confident. He underthrowing guys, overthrowing guys. He didn't look good in that game at all. Philadelphia will do that to you. But, they got mollywopped, and that can go one of two ways. You can say, all right, that's not going to happen again. We're going to come out, we're going to kick their ass this time. Or it could be the other way where you're like, how good are we really? Like we thought we were really good, and then we got knocked back a peg by a team that was a lot better than us. And sometimes that type of thing.
We saw what happened to us in 2022. Exactly. Very similar fashion. We got to the second round, not the third round of the playoffs. We ran into a much better Eagles team, and they destroyed us. And then team was off for the next year. No, I don't think that's going to happen in Washington.
Yeah, Washington won't be that bad.
I hate to say this, and I hope I'm wrong. I think Jaden Daniels is elite. I forgot the game last year. It was early in the season. It was a Sunday
Cincinnati.
night.
It was Cincinnati.
The touchdown throw with the anticipation.
Yeah, to McLaurin. With a guy in his face, 50 yards.
I said, this guy's otherworldly. And when you factor in his athleticism, I think he's a better version of Lamar Jackson, or he's going to be. That's how good I think Jaden Daniels is. I hate saying that. I think
when he made that throw, my exact words are, "Oh shit, Washington as a quarterback." I remember he threw it to a spot 55 yards down the field with a guy right in his face, and I was like, "Shit, like he's good."
The good news is we got a pass rusher, hopefully, to combat it a bit, but he's good.
We're still going to kick his ass. He's going to have an ice bath waiting for him. Because, he ain't seen a pass rush. Well, he did kind of see a pass rush like this. Called Philadelphia, and we know what they did to him. So I think we can get there. I think we can beat Washington. But it's July. Like I said, when we get to the week of the game, we'll see how I feel.
Also, can we just be so happy that for once we don't have any off-season drama, that we're not the Cowboys whose owner is talking shit about their best player that he refuses to pay, that he's just going to end up paying anyway, and the Bengals and the Commanders, like, what are you guys doing? Get it together. I'm like, for once, it's nice that we are not the team that's owner is doing some stupid shit.
I hope Jerry lives another 100 years. I do.
It's like the same story with that team every year. Like, they always drag it out. They did it with Zeke. They did it with Dak. They're doing it
CeeDee
with
Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb. And they always pay the guy anyway. So it's like it's a disaster the way that they handle those contracts. Dallas is tremendous when it comes to drafting in recent history. One of the best teams in the NFL in terms of talent evaluations over the last, I'd say, 10 to 15 years. I got to give them credit for that. But in terms of contract negotiations, they are, if not the worst, among the worst teams in the league. They are really bad at that. You think about all the money they wasted with the Dak Prescott situation. Had they extended him 2-3 years earlier, it would have been a completely different contract. It would have been over a far less rate. And they've done the same thing with several other players.
I would love to see Micah Parsons leave this division.
It ain't going to happen, though. I mean, I hope, but I don't think it's going to happen.
That'd be really nice. With that said,
trade him to the Bengals.
That'd be
what's
cool.
that? Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
To the Bengals.
Bengals won't pay him either.
True.
Bengals can't pay anybody.
That's true. Where can we send Micah? Where's our guy born? Let's send him to the Chargers.
Like the Fantastic Four pass rush. Bring him here. Why not?
Oh, I don't think we can afford him, but that'd be fantastic if we could add him. That'd be great. And he could take his revenge on Dak twice a year for the next 5 years. That'd be freaking awesome. But with that said, that brings us to the close of another edition of Giants Collective. Appreciate you guys and girls tuning in. Like I said, we'll be back again Friday at 7:00, 2 times a week now, right through the winter into the winter into the spring, and then we're going to be around for a long time. So make sure you guys subscribe, make sure you ring the bell and hit all notifications so you know when we go live. If you want to check us out on Apple, Spotify, wherever else, Amazon, wherever else you get your podcasts, links are in the description. If you can leave us a 5-star review, that'd be great. You can also become a member of the channel by clicking that little membership. You get your name in the outro, monthly member messages, and you get those really cool emojis that are just for the members. We appreciate you tuning in. So for Adriana, Anthony, and the Entertainer, it is the Bad Diggy Dizzle. Enjoy the rest of your hump day, everybody. Giants Collective. We gone. Peace.
Have a good one, guys.